Good evening and welcome to the Living World of Darkness, the Camarilla Anarch venue. Tonight we have another scene in the bunker, and it's not specifically Theodore that is called for a meeting, but, well, technically he has, but he's just told Spillane and Lucius to meet him at an agreed upon time in the bunker for some reason. It's not really clear, but soon the two are arriving now, and they are meet each other at the agreed upon table. What do those two people say to each other, though?
As Lucius arrives to a meeting table, he will remark to the respective people visiting at the table. He will say, Mrs. Blaine?
Ah, Mr. Kaltenbrunner. Pleasure to see you.
Yes.
Gentlemen. Good. You both are here. Good. Please, make yourselves as comfortable as possible. Let's get right to it. Mr. Spillane, you have certain information that I honestly would have expected would have been disseminated by now. I know that there are no functioning harpies, but still it is of tactical importance, and the unit should have been informed by now.
What information does Sam have to disseminate? I don't actually know. What is Sam supposed to say? Sam doesn't have any information, I don't think.
Theodore will just look at you and you have recently had contact with a young woman who was held captive at a location that you know of, and I'm not sure how many know of. That should be investigated as soon as possible. And then you have gotten a lead, I suppose you would say, as you told me, about Bronx Zoo. And yes, you should share that with Lucius. And honestly, I am a little perplexed as to why I must call a meeting to have this discussed, honestly.
Lucius is all ears. He's looking at Mrs. Blaine. Questioning.
Sam's a little bit annoyed with the way Theodore put that. It's not like he hasn't been busy or anything. Right, well. As Theodore was saying, we've got a leader. But there's been some activity around the Bronx Zoo. And that one of the Sabat's more prominent members might be there. Would Sam be correct in saying that's Emily?
That is his assumption.
I have no idea. This was originally Earl, and then it got muddied by people saying it was Emily, so I don't know in character, although I should know in
character. You know that the woman you rescued,
yes,
had heard Earl's men talk about them keeping an eye or keeping people to protect the area around the Bronx Zoo. So there is certain Sabat interest in there.
Huh.
You would think.
Then Sam would say
that
prominent members.
Yeah, that would be fairly reasonable to suggest.
We don't necessarily have a lot of information on what's in there, just that the Sabat seem very interested in protecting that specific area of the Bronx. Especially considering that the Sabat don't seem too interested in the Bronx in general.
Maybe it's a staging ground, a place from which they strike or intend to strike. But the fact that they chose the zoo is somewhat odd, to say the least. I mean, it's a very public place. That's a bonus, but also could be considered a problematic event. It has its own security, obviously, but
It's a very public location during the day. It's closed to the
right.
public for the entire evening and night. So, well, and the surrounding area is also somewhat less populated. So, for someone who would only be around to walk around during the night, it would be actually be fairly private, to be honest.
That's true. But I assume they also have night security. Tricky part about night security is that if it's somewhere of kin security, then it either needs to be avoided or taken out.
I intended to actually investigate the area with Nikki at some point.
Might I suggest that a full group of people were to go to these investigations, especially
Aye.
with recent developments being what they are?
What are the recent developments? Because clearly either information has not been shared properly yet, or things have just so recently happened that there was no time to share it.
I am. Well, there was a certain attack by some of our people, although it was apparently Assamites. I am increasingly nervous that, and he stops. I have certain concerns.
It was when that Caitiff came into the bunker. Same
Right.
night.
The Mr. Jacob kind of guy.
Aye.
Yes. I've had the I've seen him, yes.
Prior to our return, the Assamites had broken into the bunker and tore apart the Bruges Fad. When we entered, they attacked us, and well, we finished them up pretty quickly. They weren't actually that much of a threat. They were probably injured.
Fortunate, but it means that people can find this place.
Aye.
And with our activities beginning to peak, this raises certain concerns.
And I have even more bad information, because I believe that Sabat is very much aware of our existence now.
Indeed.
Henceforth, they used to believe that we were out of town. Now they are informed, or it has been confirmed to them, that we are still here and we're still fighting the good fight. They are led to believe that we are very much responsible for taking out the person Samantha and the what was the other person called? I can't remember. Someone else.
Budge.
Which is
Right,
why
but
we cannot rest now. Now is the time for us to accelerate our actions and to not wait and linger for longer periods of time.
I agree.
I agree.
I want the unit to investigate the meatpacking plant as soon as possible.
Meat packing plan. All right.
Where Mr. Spillane found a certain source of information, where
Aye.
we believe Earl to be located around.
Okay, I've heard that name drop twice now. Who's this Earl figure?
He is a leader, a leader of a pack called the Meat Grinder. He is of English descent, and is a problem that we need to deal with soon. He's not the sharpest tools in the shed, but what he does not, well, him and his colleagues, shall we say, do not have in brain power, they make up for in savagery and raw strength.
Yes.
Right.
I do believe
So
them
they
to
are
be...
brutes that need to be dealt with.
Quite so.
But I do believe them to be... They're at least involved in the Sabbat arms trade, and I believe them to be involved in their blood trade as well. So taking him and his ilk out would make for quite a good catch on our part. It will cut off their supply chain, at least somewhat partially.
That's the most fortunate
Well,
thing. So are we to ambush this meatpacking plant? Because I'm not sure of the unit in itself. It's a striking team, not a siege team. I simply mean that we need many individuals to pull that off if we want to do it without casualties. I mean, I hate to regret, but last time we did a striking action in unknown territory, did lose one individual.
from what I can understand from Nikki and Spillane, things might have changed since then. It was not the most secure place in the world.
There are guards, but it's pretty easy to break into. The main problems of Earl will be that he seems to frequent the place irregularly.
Right.
But he has come and gone in the
So,
past.
I am led to understand that this Earl, being involved in contacts with trade, is therefore, I assume, savvy enough to hold contacts with regular people, ghouls and the likes. Could we hook into one of those ghouls to make sure that he would be at the plant when we strike it? I mean, it would only be as effective if we take him out as well.
From what Mrs. Spillane said, they seem to acquire people for their, well, whatever actions they have going in that place. And they seem to be driving in 1 or 2 trucks. And from what I could say, the strike team would be quite sufficient if you could time it. Maybe you could track one of those trucks, catch it off guard, don't even need to go there.
I have the means to track several of these trucks.
Or you could time it when they are just leaving or just arriving. You can confirm with Isaac, or you can confer with Mr. Spillane here. The reason I am on edge, and the reason I am less hospitable, is because this recent development that you speak of, and certain others, have put us in a bit of a time crunch, you see.
Yeah,
We are
I understand.
pressed for time, and I understand why you have sometimes had to postpone certain actions. I understand secrecy, but that secrecy is very, very clearly, if not over, very soon over. Meaning that the more destabilizing we can do in a fairly short amount of time, the better. I must apologize, Mr. Spillane, if I snapped at you before. This does put me on, well, a bit of an edge.
Oh no, it's quite alright. We need to get moving. We need to do it soon.
So the next Earl, as a preparation to strike at other individuals still active within the Sabbat structure. I mean, we've taken down Samantha, we've taken down Jason. We still need to take down the leech. I'm sure you want to be involved with that as well.
I will be doing a bit of investigation to see if I can find him or flush him out.
And
I have
do
quite a lot
believe
of sway in his area of business.
I do believe
Yes,
you
I know.
want a hand in dealing with this Emily Stevenson, a traitor who knew you both, I assume.
That's true. Yes, I've been trading myself to at least for a small period of time. Hold my ground, hopefully, against a specialist such as her, in order to make sure that we don't lose anyone when we strike at the throat.
Good.
However, this is still, will be still a very dangerous mission. And I need everyone to be as prepared as possible, as experienced as possible.
Hmm.
She will be our, how would you say, um, grand prize, because I don't think we can find or take down Carl Wennerlind with such a small group as that we have currently.
Well, we have gained numbers for those who would have been immediately killed by the Sabbat. I have gone out of my way to seek such desperate souls. As you have seen, we have gained quite a few cative, well,
Yes,
lodgings.
I've noticed. The only problem I see with that is after the war is done, obviously, the caitiff will want a place. Now, I am but a man serving my elders, but I can tell you that most caitiff very well know that the elders most of the time don't think very hard of them. And if our new prince would become the current leader in this race of princedom, which would be Marie Antoinette, it would lead them to find the city less thankful for their efforts.
And I suppose they would have an interest in seeing another person to be prince.
Of course, obviously, what I'm trying to say is that at the moment um, we fight our war with our small group. If we add more caitiffs to this group, there is a chance that um, the race of political office will soon be followed by a strike down hard from Europe where it comes to the movement.
Hmm.
After all, I did hear one of them say very publicly that he would consider a mock-up operation when it comes to taking down the caitiff movement, considering he has done this before. I'm merely saying that if there is an intention for the caitiffs to go war with Europe and with
Theo would just look at
traditional
him
statics, it would
and he
be
would just
dangerous.
break in and just say, Mr. Kaltenbrunner, your assessment, however right, is quite irrelevant. We stand on the precipice of all being killed by our diametrically opposed enemy. The Sabbat is present, it is still very much a threat. I do not necessarily disagree with your assessments, but I do believe that we should all focus on the task at hand. Political afterplays will be less immediately dangerous to our health than this. So, would you not agree?
But I agree that I am not a political animal in this show, and therefore I would at all times bow down to my elders who know more about politics than me. I'm just merely saying that if we give caitiffs an active role in our so very present war, then by giving those roles, we will give them a position to bargain, which can be seen as less favorable towards Europe. Well, with that, I do agree that we need to focus on more active actions within our city at the moment and consider picking up the sword. What information do we have on the skills of this Earl individual? Although his ferocity and brutality is one of the things that are interesting, I was hoping more to find out if he is of a certain bloodline or if he is of mixed descent.
I'm quite certain he is Bruja with some, maybe considerable, abilities within vicissitude.
Uh,
I don't know the extent of his capabilities, but I would think I'm almost certain that he is Bruja in blood.
I'm personally not much specialist when it comes to Brugia, but sorry, when it comes to vicissitude. But I do know that if he is from Brugia origin, there might be a larger than usual chance to lure him out of his more comfortable situation and take him down in an area which is less controlled by his influence.
Well, I will leave that to your very capable hands, Mr. Cattencorner. And please do remember to just notify Isaac when you do this operation. Please,
Oh
gentlemen.
yes, of course.
Is there anything else you would want to speak to me with? Speak to me about?
Yes. I of course have noticed that there will be more people joining our war shortly. With your permission, I have not all the knowledge of those who are capable or less capable within fighting capacity within this within the bunker. If you have a list of those who might need or can benefit from extra physical training for the war ahead, that would be most grateful. Because then I would be able to, in my own style, with your permission, find and see a way if we can train them in a in proper combat etiquettes and proper
You
way
have
of
my permission.
ensure that we have more survivors.
You have my permission to train with anyone you see fit. Very capable fighters can still use training.
I agree. That
So,
said, I will consider this one of the um, permissions I need. I will have to ask the regent, of course, being well, my leading mentor in such things. But thank you for your permission.
no problem at all. Mr. Spillane?
I think the only matter left I wish to discuss would be the proposed methodology for taking down Miss Stevenson. I was hoping, well, I intend to use my newfound capabilities to summon her as as the haven is attacked. This would force her out of the fight, allow us to mop up her pack, and then focus on her while she heads towards me. And of course, we can have individuals in place to ambush her as she heads straight in our general direction.
We have
Yes, I would
discussed this.
I would
We
be
have
glad
discussed
to be
this.
part of that strike.
We have discussed this, Mr. Spillane, and you have my support. Although this is, as I did say before, at great risk to yourself, the plan does have its merits. But, yes, I do agree with you that it could be a very advantageous way to do it. But is there anything new or anything else you wish to discuss with me? I am somewhat pressed for time, more so than usual.
Other than a newest acquisition of Catif, which we've already discussed, I don't believe so.
Very well. Please, gentlemen, I am dreadfully sorry to cut this short from my end, but I must see to certain things. Please, if you'd have me excused, you are welcome to discuss things on your own, of course. Have a good evening. And Theodore will leave and seemingly disappear.
Well then, it was nice
Right.
speaking with you. You'll get a...
Explain. It's good
No.
that I caught you, although I wouldn't deprive you information. Mr. Theodore, we do have to agree that with your current expertise lying in the areas of, say, the somewhat less traveled road of the underworld, I would have to ask if you could possibly give any indication or of how much we need to take down the leech as well. I've heard mentioned that he is a priest, a certain rank within Sambat. I thought it might be helpful if you want to take him down, because I do believe that he is part of a morale system, and if we take down him as a priest, this morale, the Sabbath morale might suffer. Something we can use to our advantage in other and later battles.
I'll see what I can do. I do intend to look into the matter. If the information's of any value to you, I'm aware he does run with the cartels, so if you have any connection or any allies of connections to those areas, you'll know that I can be of use to you.
Which cartels are we talking about?
Mexican cartels, I think, actually.
Yes, Mexican, I believe
he came from Mexico when he first arrived.
I have no influence in the Mexican community. I thought that was more of ghost expertise. Spanish talking. However, I do speak my words of Spanish. If you need anything translated, let me know.
I'll do that. I appreciate the aid as always. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
And with that, the meeting is over and the scene will come to a close. Thank you very much, players, for playing and watchers for watching. Good night.